I started to become actively involved against the National Front in the middle of 1974, where we carried on a campaign up until the end of the 70s. By then, the National Front had splintered and broken off. I suppose the most significant part of that was the actual demonstration in Lewisham, where they were literally smashed. They got a terrible pounding, literally a pounding on the streets. Their old philosophy didn't seem to be working, and it wasn't their philosophy, it's the philosophy of one Adolf Hitler controlling and ruling the streets. The National Front became very aggressive, and it started off by the obvious thing, attacking particularly people selling newspapers in the streets, Socialist Workers Party, but not only Socialist Workers Party. They attacked people selling the Morning Star, they attacked people selling Militant, and they were becoming very aggressive, and we decided that we'd have to stop it, we'd have to try to stop it. So what we did then, we formed a system where people would have a telephone and we'd be on the end of a telephone, usually on a Saturday morning. And we used to be waiting, and if there was a presence of NF, either in Barking, Stratford, Upton Park, East Ham, we used to go, usually between 10 or 12 of us used to go over there and try to, if you like, remedy the situation. I'd be perfectly honest with you, I was very surprised when we started actually coming to physical contact, and I mean physical contact with these people. I was very, very apprehensive at first. Most of them used to look very, very aggressive. Some of them used to wear military uniforms, which don't mean nothing. Probably none of them was ever in the military. To use an East End terminology, they weren't very good on the pavement. And we started getting a bit more confident. We started feeling that these people were not supermen, you know what I mean? And they're not going to go around bullying people and threatening people and beating up people in the streets. Because in our opinion, they were putting forward poison. They were putting forward ideas about people's colour, racist stuff that was poisonous. And if people like that are allowed to just literally do as they please, then they become acceptable. So we've gone then from a situation of complete defence, you know, in fact being devastated, to stabilisation, right, with the fighting outside the station when they were selling papers, to being in front by having a demonstration, went right through the middle of their heartland, and it wasn't attacked. So we considered we were in front. And it was then that the idea came across about having a big march by the National Front to counteract that balance. They were losing the momentum. They were smashed to pieces. And unfortunately, a lot of people in the left side of politics thought it was a disposable item, that the issue had gone away. It might have gone away for them in particular, but it certainly didn't go away for Asian families in Brick Lane or in Cannon Street Road or even around here. You know, it's all very well saying people have got the right to express their own opinions, but when their opinions could lead to some young Asian people, as they did at that time, Tab Ali, a young Asian worker, was coming down the spot of Brick Lane. He was stabbed to death by two skinheads for no apparent reason, just because of the fact he was Asian. And if you allow those people to sell that sort of muck, that is the end result.
There's probably quite a few good old-fashioned liberals out there, trendy lefties, who are feeling quite uneasy with all this talk of violence. And they're saying, there's other ways. Well, we're not either or. We're both. We'll try all methods. We'll have marches, we have carnivals, music events, we even have a travelling exhibition showing you all the truths of fascism. History's proven that the fascists base their philosophy on physical force. If you're not prepared to meet that force with physical force, then you must retire from the political arena, because the fascists feed on fear, and to ignore them is to encourage them.
Here, at least 6 people have been arrested and a policeman was injured in scuffles between 2 groups of demonstrators. Members of the British National Party clashed with a group of anti-fascists who were protesting at the March through Thamesmead in South London.
The march by the extreme right-wing British National Party was through a highly sensitive...
Unfortunately, many of today's anti-racist groups refuse to learn from the past. In an abject display of political cowardice, the organisers of the counter-demonstration to this BNP march, who with the support of local people outnumbered the fascists 10-1, chose to march away from any confrontation, the militant anti-fascists were left to register their protest. Precisely because they weren't smashed at Thamesmead, the BNP consolidated their position there and felt confident enough to expand their activities into neighbouring areas. Just 12 weeks later, having won support from local people, the odds of 10-1 against the Thamesmead had swung to 10-1 in their favour in nearby Bermondsey. Later that day, fascist-controlled gangs rampaged through the streets attacking black people at random.
Basically, I got involved with the Anti-Nazi League in January, after its relaunch, the ANL Mark II. Fortunately, where I live, there was no other alternative. The main reason why I left the ANL to join AFA is, after, as you know, giving out leaflets on the street, trying to sell the papers. I mean, you have a march, they'll have a march, the BNP will march down one street, police will be there cordoning off the ANL, will be shouting, Nazis out, Nazis out. I mean, the Nazis know that they're Nazis, they don't need to be told that. I mean, they're flying a placard and all that. Oh, you know, nice and clicky sort of thing. I mean, AFA, well, me included, would be halfway along that street, halfway across it, with a placard on my hand, smashing it over his bastard head. I mean, what's the point of, like, saying, oh, there's some fascists here, quick, let's get a nice little banner out, let's get some nice little middle-class school teachers. Let's all band together and all chant nice little 60s in the summer of log songs against them. Well, it's true, but unfortunately for me, I mean, you hear about the paper, in left-wing papers that I've read, paper sellers selling next door to right-wing sellers, you know, exchanging pleasantries of the day. I mean, it's sick. I mean, it might as well be a Sunday afternoon car boot sale, as far as I know. I mean, they're talking, oh, nice day, innit? Nice weather. They'll be going home at night, sitting down in the intellectual armchair, reading 6 Easy Ways for Socialism. The b****s who they've just been talking to 3 hours earlier be going smashing windows and posting fireworks through doors, etc., etc. So who are they kidding? They're kidding themselves.
The rest of the life criticise us because we're prepared to do more than just talk about taking on the fascists. We've actually been involved in physically preventing the fascists from holding meetings, from holding rallies. For example, the most recent activity that AFA was involved in was in conjunction with other anti-fascists. We mobilised 200 people in December to stop the BNP Scottish rally, which was attended by John Tyndall, John Peacock and several other dignitaries in the BNP. As a result of that, there was boneheads physically confronted in the streets, were sent packing. There was casuals chased up the city centre, and the BNP leadership were holed up in the Gallery Bar in Argyle Street for hours, for several hours. They were holed up in the Gallery Bar. As a result, the police had to evacuate them along tunnels under the pub and into the train station, and like rats along sewers.
The reason why I've actually come on this programme is that one or two people may have suggested to me that I can be more identifiable by youngsters as opposed to a university intellectual telling them about the bad things about fascism. They are using working class, or white youth as foot soldiers, and unfortunately, a lot of the youth can't see that they're being used. They've been abused, I would say. They've been deceived by the government and being ignored by the government in the sense that, as I've already turned around and said, they've got no housing facilities, they've got no benefit, they've got no jobs. They may have youth training, which I would suggest is a euphemism for making tea and stacking shelves. And then this is put towards them that the cause of all these problems is the immigrants, is the blacks, when it's far from it. So it isn't a racist problem we're dealing with, I think it's an economic problem. It seems there is a shift to the right, and it seems like all the political parties have gone that way, leaving a void which needs to be filled on the left. Now you've got to ask yourself the question, is that going to be filled by another left party, or further to the left than what we've got at the present moment, or is it going to be filled by a right-wing party, something like the fascists, who are going to be there and saying, well, we can lift you out of this problem, we can lift you out of this crisis.